Got the cab removed, doors off, top off, windshield off, A and B pillars off in my brother's garage. Seats are out. Sound bar is reinstalled in a better location. Up next, install better seats and fix this rust issue. Modifying these Toyota Celica seats to fit the Roxor. Here's the lower rear bulkhead. Installing this vent into the lower rear bulkhead. Here's the upper half of the rear bulkhead. I've done some more trimming here. And a shitload of trimming here, so that it can fit up underneath this bar. You can see where it has rubbed, and I've had to remove material for it to fit beforehand, but we're going to get it taken care of this time. Cutting these off because we don't need them anymore. Yeah. Here's that lower rear bulkhead that's not insulated on this cab that's supposed to be insulated. Installing this on the bottom right here. Got to cut out the template. Taking it back to grade school right now. All right, the lower half is in, the upper half is in, siliconed this joint, siliconed under here. That vent don't look too bad. Self-tapping screws along the bottom, and it's siliconed. You have to drill yourself this hole and this hole before you can install this pillar, and then seal it. Also had to do some extensive trimming on this edge right here for it not to hit this rollover system at the top. All right, these are on, siliconed, kind of snug. Put silicone behind here, taped it off to try and keep it contained, both sides. Now is a good time to install your vents. This is a good spot for this one if you want to. Do not install that one in front of the steering wheel. You want to get it over here out of the way because your motor is going to literally cover half that vent. That is if you put it right in front of the steering wheel. Now the windshield's going to go on. We're going to put silicone here, and this pillar, when we put it on, we're going to put more silicone here. All right, passenger side, pillars on, windshield's on. Applying silicone to this one. Biggest problem we're having is obviously filling this gap in here with silicone and getting these holes lined up. And I'm trying to get these pillars raised up a little bit to maybe fix that gap that I'm having. I'm going to have to wall these holes out so that I can raise this pillar up to cover that gap up between the windshield and here, because I have a gap here. You can see on one of my other videos. All right, silicone roof's fixing to go on the rocks. If you're watching this, put a little lip on the top of this so that I don't have a gap right here. Just lip it like you do this. But silicone the top, both sides. and then along this back side. All the bolts are just snug, nothing's tight. So here we go, roof's going on. These holes along the top, oversized to 11/32, so that the holes would come close to lining up to close this gap up at the top. All the cab components are on. We was able to loosen up these bolts down here, these bolts here, pry bar, and close this gap up. It's not all the way shut, but it's most of the way shut. So fill it with silicone on both sides. So once again, you have to loosen up these three, remove this one, shove a pry bar in it, make sure this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, and this one is loose. We oversized this bolt hole so that we had some room to come up, and we was able to mostly close the gap up on both sides. Also, these bolts up under here suck to get to. You need a little person with little hands. And I'm gonna try and fill this gap up with expanding foam on both sides. OTR should probably redesign their windshield a little bit better. The way that it goes in front of this piece leaves a massive gap under here. So I filled mine up with silicone, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at a gap of 1/8 an inch, 1/16 inch, whatever this is. I don't know, but redesign your windshield so that it comes down and sits flush with that piece of metal. Cab is back on and everything is siliconed. Here's the roof vent installed. It's perfect. Hopefully she's more airtight than before. Maybe when doing this sealing of the silicone, it'll stop the door from buffeting going down the highway. Like this. And here's the back one. Every single vehicle on the road today that has a cab has vents in it for when you open and close the doors. This cab does not. Maybe On The Rox could think of maybe installing those little vents. As far as where these roll bars go up into the cab, I'm gonna get some expanding foam, the kind that only expands a little bit, and then trim it down. Here's this side. Yeah, it's just a massive gap at the top. I've trimmed back quite a bit for it to be able to reach around this, but it's done. That's everything on the cab. Now to go test drive it and see how she does. Here are my upgraded seats out of a Toyota Celica, I think. Custom brackets, so don't even ask if it fits. It don't. You do some welding and cutting and grinding. Roxor project is done today. Next, possibly install this clutch. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely have to do some wiring work on it and build a custom tire carrier. That will be done tomorrow. But for today, it is time to drink beer. What do you think, Joel? Yep, beer. Yep, beer.